Okay, we are. I have to move my marker. The top of 9b. So we just mentioned on the bottom of the previous Amud of 9a that we found a source that Rosh Chodesh, the goat that's brought on Rosh Chodesh, atones. How do you know that the one of the Yom Tovim, the 3 holidays, how do you know that that atones also? So to that we said, well, you can't learn out of Rosh Chodesh because Rosh Chodesh is so frequent. And you can't learn out of Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur has such great atonement. On that, the Gemara told us that um, you just learned Rosh Chodesh from Yom Kippur, and it didn't bother you that Yom Kippur has such great atonement. You still learned from there. So says the Gemara, no, that's because it says in the Torah, different places that you bring a goat, and it just in one place it just revealed to us what that's referring to. But it's not that you learning one out from the other. It just revealed to us what it's talking about. So therefore, that's why we didn't ask that rebuttal. Okay, so now aval hacha, third line. Aval hacha ikela meimar kula milsa logarminan. But here, how are you learning out the higot of the holidays? That must be learned out from somewhere. Ella kida amri of Chama, Rabbi Chanina. Like the opinion of Chama, Rabbi Chanina, which is going to come up numerous times today. It says the word seir, vis seir. So the vav is and. So it's by the by seir is talking about the sacrifice of Rosh Chodesh. This seir is coming to include something else. We're adding on to it. It's coming to include the higot of the holidays, and therefore, since they're juxtaposed together, we're going to learn one from the other. So instead of saying just higot, it said this seir. It's adding on. So it's adding on to teach you this is not only is it the Rosh Chodesh offering, but also something else, which is the offering of the holidays, and therefore those two are juxtaposed together. So just like he has a seir v'seir, hakanami seir v'seir, the iskish seir regalim l'seir rosh chadashim, and we're comparing the two offerings of the seir regalim of the holidays to the higots of Rosh Chodesh. Ma seire rosh chadashim, just like the higots of Rosh Chodesh. Just like the higot of Rosh Chodesh atones for something that you have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. So too, af seirei harigalim einan mechaprin ela al she'ein b'yediyah lo b'tchila v'lo b'sof. So too, the higots of the 3 holidays are also only going to atone for something which you have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. So at the end of the day, the source for that is that a juxtaposition of the higots of the holidays to the higot of Rosh Chodesh, and therefore you learn one from the other, and they're both going to atone for things that have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. Okay. Now, this idea that you have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end, so are we talking about something that you could have, there's no way of knowing? Right? Let's say nobody saw you become impure. You became impure 6 a.m. at your house. No one saw you. And then you walked into the temple. You had no idea what impurity is, no idea what that, and you walked in. What happens if somebody saw you get impure? They saw you touch a dead person. They saw the creepy crawly, jump on you or whatever it is. Morning sleep. So now they saw you, but you had no idea. But they could always tell you about it. So is that also considered not having knowledge in the beginning and end? Is it objectively something which is impossible to know unless you on your own learn about it? Or even something which someone else saw you, so if they tell you about it, then you would have knowledge about it. Is that also under the same category or not? So, Ibailu, let's ask a question. Ki Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda, who said that these sacrifices atone for things that you have no knowledge, not in the beginning and not at the end, what's that referring to? Hani mili b'chet she'ein sofa livada. It's an avera which no one's going to know about, meaning your impurity happened between you and Hashem. No one else saw it. So when you go walk into the temple, no one knows if you're pure or impure. I guess unless they have spiritual eyes, they could see the impurity on you. But other than that, they can't really. Aval chet shesofa livada, but an avera which is able to be known. For example, somebody saw you walk into the cemetery. You went to go clean up the Kesser cemetery, right, or whatever, or probably the one next to the base of Mikdash, and then they watched you walk in, and they walk in 20 minutes later. You walk right into the Temple Mount, and there's no purity in the middle. Mm-hmm. So you had no idea that you can't walk into a cemetery and then you can't go into the base of Mikdash. So you have no idea, but they could always say, "Hey, by the way, Mister, you can't do that." So is that also categorically the same or not? It's it's more similar to the case of you have no knowledge in the beginning, but you do have knowledge at the end. Not that you practically have knowledge at the end, but it's in that category because someone could tell you about it. And therefore, if it's under that category, so then then the goat, which is the goat that's brought on the outer altar, and Yom Kippur will atone for you for that avera. So that's one side. Or odilma, alternatively, afilu chet shesofa livada, even an avera, which can be known to you, meaning your friends all saw you bury a dead person and then walk and basically there's 10 minutes later, so you have no idea. You just joined the Chaber Kadisha, but you have no idea what that means exactly. You don't know what impurity is. You don't know anything is. But and you're in Israel on your trip touring, so you stop by the cemetery, stop by the Beis Hamikdash, so that someone could tell you about. Say, hey, you can't do that. So Hashtamia, just right now, since you don't know Hashtamia, nevertheless, it's a chait she'ein makirba ela Hashem karina bay. That's still considered an avera that only Hashem knows about, because at the end of the day, right now, no one's yet told you that you are impure and you can't walk in. So right now, only you and Hashem know about that. No one else knows about that. Therefore, that's still considered something which has no knowledge at the end. So that's the question: does no knowledge at the end mean that it'll never be known, or no knowledge means practically right now there's no knowledge at the end? So to that, we're going to bring a brisa that's going to give us an explicit answer. Tashma, the Tanya, al she'en b'yediyah lo b'tchila lo b'sof. If you have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end, v'chet shesofo livada, and it's an avera that can be known to you, even an avera that someone saw you, meaning they saw you impurify yourself, and then they saw you eat the bagel, or they saw you walk into the temple, still se'irei haregalim, the he-goats of the holidays, and the Rosh Chodesh, are mechaprin, sirgam versus Rosh Chodesh mechaprin, divrei Reb Yehuda. So we have an explicit brisa that says it all depends practically. Right now, you had no idea what impurity means, and you ended up becoming impure, and you walked into the temple. So we don't care if someone saw you become impure. We care about right now when you walked in. Did you have a knowledge that you were impure? Yes or no? If the answer is no, so then the monthly or the sacrifice every month or the sacrifice on the holidays will atone for you. Okay, now going back to the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon says, he's the second opinion. He says that he said that the Rosh Chodesh offering is going to atone for somebody who is pure, who ate something when he was who ate something which was impure. So he that's one. Then Rabbi Shimon says that the holiday. I'm just going back to the Mishnah for a second, just as the introduction to the next little bit. And then the holidays is going to atone for somebody that has no knowledge not in the beginning and not at the end. And then Yom Kippur is going to mechaper for the person that has no knowledge in the beginning but has knowledge at the end. Okay, so that is Reb Shimon. So now, Amr Oshia, Mahi time of Reb Shimon. What is the reason for Reb Shimon? What's his source? Amr Kra, it says by Parsha Shmini, by another Ben Avihu, that they brought three sacrifices that day. So one was a Rosh Chodesh sacrifice, and one was for the offering of their tribe Nachshon, and then one was for the inauguration of the altar. So it says there, Amar Krava Oso Nasan Lachem Laseis Es Avon Ha'eda. So it says there that there was this Avera that was carrying the sin of the people. The Hayikra B'Seir de Rosh Chodesh Ksiv, and that's referring to the goat that they brought on Rosh Chodesh. I think it was Rosh Chodesh Nisan then. So the Yalif, so okay, fine. So they brought some kind of korban that atoned for something. Well, what does it have to do with us? How do you know that it atones for what Rabbi Shimon says it atones for? Rabbi Shimon says it atones for somebody who is pure, who eats something which is not pure. So he's tahor, he's pure, but then he eats the kodesh, the holy bagel, which is impure, and for that Rosh Chodesh is going to atone for. So how do we know from this verse that it atones for that? All we see is that Rosh Chodesh atones for something, because it says it carries the sin of the people. Which sin? So let's see. The Yolif avon mitzitz. So now we have a gzeira shava of the word avon, sin. It bears the sin, which is learnt out from the tzitz. The tzitz is the different priestly garments that the Kohen Gadol wore on Yom Kippur. Each of them also accomplish a certain level of atonement. So the tzitz is the one he wore on his head that said Kodesh LaHashem, he's holy to God. So that also atones for things. So let's see. So Namar kan avon, v'namar lahalan avon. It says avon over here, it says avon over there. Ma lahalan tumas basar. Just like over there, it's referring to if the actual food became impure, the ola offerings became impure. So if the Kohen Gadol is wearing the tzitz, some say even if he's not wearing it, different opinions I think, but for sure if he's wearing the tzitz, it's going to atone for that, and therefore that sacrifice can still be brought. It'll still be okay to it'll still, even though the sacrifice is impure, and that's usually not okay, but but if he's wearing the tzitz, it'll atone for that, and that'll be okay. And therefore the owners don't have to bring another sacrifice. As long as the Kohen Gadol is wearing the tzitz, and this offering had some problems with it, it's still going to be okay. So what do you see? That the tzitz that the Kohen Gadol wears also atones. What does it atone for? It atones for malahal and tumas basar, for when the actual meat became impure, and usually you cannot bring that up. But since he's wearing the tzitz, he says it's going to work, that it appeases for it, it atones for it. Afkan betumas basar. So too by Rosh Chodesh, it's referring to tumas basar, that the kodesh, the holy bagel, became impure, and now the person eats it. So says the Gemara, imala halan olin afkan olin. Hold on, but by the Kohen Gadol, it was referring to the ola offerings, not the sin offerings. It was the ola offerings, the ones that are fully consumed. So maybe also over here, but it says no. Afkan olin says avon ha'edaksiv. Our verse says no. Our verse is talking about a sin of the nation, and therefore it's going to refer to something that a person did. So the word avon is learned out from over there, but then plug it back into our context, it's referring to Ada. Ada means a congregation. So it's referring to a sin that a person did, not just a problem with the sacrifice itself, but a problem that the person did something wrong. What did he do wrong? He wasn't supposed to eat that holy bagel, and he did. Yeah. Okay. Michti. Let's see. Migmar Gmiri Mehadadi. So why don't you learn them out from each other? Nechaper de Rosh Chodesh adidei va'aditzitz. So you just learned out Rosh Chodesh from the tzitz of the head plate they translated it as. Yeah. So the head plate. So you learn one from the other. So why don't you just let one of them atone for both? So if there's something wrong with the sacrifice, instead of the tzitz atoning for it, let the Rosh Chodesh offering atone for it. Nechaper de Rosh Chodesh adidei on itself, v'aditzitz, and onto the head plate, meaning and onto the aveira that the head plate atones for. Let this sacrifice atone for that. So what would be the difference? Like, who cares if it's let one atone for both or not? Nafkamina lehecha de nishbar tzitz. Let's say the tzitz got broken. The tzitz got broken. So now this other sacrifice will atone for it. So Amar Kra Avon. Avon echad hu nosei, ve'ein nosei shtei avonos. So it says only avon in the singular, and therefore it only atones for one avera. It's not going to atone for two averas. Okay, v'nechaper tzitz adidei. Go the other way. Say that the tzitz will atone for itself, whatever it does, and whatever the Rosh Chodesh offering atones for. Nafkamina, what will be the difference? Lituma de'ira bein zelazeh. If something happened to so let's say like the guy ate the offering, the guy ate the holy bagel when he wasn't supposed to. It was impure, he was pure, and it's between Rosh Chodesh and let's say Yom Kippur. So now the tzitz will atone for his avera also. Amarkra, no, osa. Osa no se avon, ve'ena cheres no se avon. For that avera, only it could carry its sin, but nothing else can carry its sin. Nothing else could bear its sin. Specifically, the tzitz has its job, and it's not going to be able to do someone else's job. It won't be able to atone for the sin of Rosh Chodesh, for that which the Rosh Chodesh offering atones for. Rav Ashi Amar, he says, Ksiv hacha avon ha'eda. So it says avon ha'eda. By Rosh Chodesh, it says avon ha'eda. It's a sin which was done by the congregation, by a person. So it says eda velo kachim. It has to be a person, and not a problem with the sacrifice, but a problem with the person. He was a pure person who ate something that was impure when he wasn't supposed to. The Hasam ksiv avon hakachim, and there it says avon hakachim. It was a sin of the kachim, of the actual sacrificial foods. There's a problem with the foods. Kachim velo eda. So Rav Ashi says each context is unique. Yours is a sin of the people, and yours is a problem with the meat itself, and therefore one is not going to atone for the other. It's specific to what it does. So the tzitz, the head is going to atone for a sacrifice that has its own problems. It's impure, let's say, and our Rosh Chodesh offering is going to atone for the problem that a person does. If he's pure and eats the holy bagel, which is in a state of impurity, which he's not supposed to, so therefore it's going to atone for it. But we're not going to mix and match them. Okay, so continuing. So Eshkechon Seirei Roshei Chadashim. We found that the Seir Roshei Chadashim Mechapri Alatar Shaklas Tamei, that a person who's tahor, who eats something which is tamei, eats something which is impure, that the Seir Rosh Chodesh, the he-goat on Rosh Chodesh, will atone for that avera. Seirei Regalim, and we found that the he-goat of the holidays is going to atone for Mechaper She'ein B'Yediyah Lo B'Tchila V'Lo B'Sof. Minalan, how do you? Sorry, we didn't find yet. How do you know that the he-goat of the holidays atones for something which you have no knowledge, not in the beginning and not at the end? How do you know? So Minalan, Kid Amar, Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina learns out that it says Seir v'Seir. Instead of saying Seir without the Vav, it adds the Vav. So Hachanami Seir v'Seir when it comes to the parsha of Rosh Chodesh and the parsha of the regal of the goats you bring on the holidays. So it says v'Seir. V'Seir tells you that it's going to be similar to whatever Rosh Chodesh atones for. V'iskish on the next page, Seir ha'regal and Seir Roshei Chadashim, and it's because it says Seir v'Seir, this goat and that goat, instead of just saying this goat's for that and this goat's for that, but the Vav connects the two sections in the Torah. It connects them for what purpose? To juxtapose them, to teach you something. What is it teaching you? It's teaching you Iskish Seir Regalim L'Seir Roshei Chadashim. It's teaching you that the goats of the three holidays are compared to the goats of Rosh Chodesh. Compared to for what reason? Ma Seir de Rosh Chodesh, just like the goat of Rosh Chodesh, is b'milsa de kodesh mechapri. It atones for something relating to holy foods. A person who's pure eating the holy food that's impure. So too, af seirei regalim. So too, the he-goats of the holidays are also atoning for things that are related to the holy foods. B'milsa de kodesh mechapri. Those are also going to be regarding things that are involving holy foods. Okay, so which is going to be someone who has no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. Okay, so now v'chi tema nechapru ad Rosh Chodesh. Why don't you say that once they're juxtaposed together, let the he-goat of the three holidays atone for that which the Rosh Chodesh offering atones for? So ha'amrina, we said already, osa no se avon vein acher no se avon. That it says by Rosh Chodesh, it carries its avera, and nothing else is going to carry that avera. Meaning, whatever Rosh Chodesh atones for, only it will atone for it, and nothing else will atone for it. So therefore, another he-goat cannot atone for that which is unique to Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, the he-goat of the three holidays cannot atone for that which the he-goat of Rosh Chodesh atones for. Okay. V'chi tema nechapru ad Yom Kippurim. Why don't you let the he-goat of the three holidays atone for that which the goat on Yom Kippur atones for. So ha'amrinan, but we said by Yom Kippur, achas b'shana. It says one time a year. Kapara zu lo tehei ella achas b'shana. This atonement is only going to happen once a year, and therefore it's not going to happen more than that. And therefore, the higot of the 3 holidays is not going to atone for that which the Yom Kippur offering atones for. The one that's brought on the outer altar, where you have no knowledge in the beginning and yes knowledge at the end, it's not going to atone for that. So amai mechapri. So what's going to atone for? This higo that's brought on the 3 holidays atones for something regarding holy things that were eaten in a state of impurity. So what's the case? If you have knowledge in the beginning, you have knowledge at the end, you already bring an offering. You bring a variable offering, the korban olav yored. Hayibar korban hu. So that's knocked out. If you have knowledge in the beginning and you don't have knowledge at the end, so that's already the inner goat on Yom Kippur takes care of that. It suspends the punishment. Yeah. So if you have no knowledge in the beginning and yes knowledge at the end, so that's already atones for because of the offering that was brought on the outer altar on Yom Kippur. So al korchach, it must be, what are you left with? Everything, all the variables are checked off, all the boxes are checked off, except for what's left is this offering where you have no knowledge in the beginning and you have no knowledge at the end. For that, the Yom Kippur offering, the 3 holidays offering, that goat will atone for that. So basically, if you like charts, this is a perfect few daf for charts to see which offerings atone for what and what opinions. Yeah. 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 Every week we get at least one oy from Jules. So
I'm surprised you don't
this didn't happen on Sunday. We start doing it. Oh, it's only uphill from here. Yeah, they should have charts. They should have a chart. Maybe they'll have it at the end, or they had it in the beginning. I don't know. It's too complicated for them. Yeah. So, okay. So now back to Rav Meir in the Mishnah. So Rav Meir has interesting. He says. Yeah, Rav Meir says that Kol HaSeirin, all the he-goats are meaning whether it's the outer altar on Yom Kippur, whether it's the one for the 3 holidays, whether it's the one for Rosh Chodesh, all of those are going to atone for all the same things. So they're all going to atone for somebody who had no knowledge in the beginning, yes knowledge at the end. He had no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. Or about somebody who was pure, who ate the kodesh, the holy food that was impure. For those 3 things, they all atone for each other. Excluding the he-goat that's brought on the inner altar. But the other 3, the outer altar one, the 3 holidays, and Rosh Chodesh, are all going to atone for each other. Now the question is, how does he know that? Maybe they're all going to atone for different things. So that we're asking, Amr Bichama Bar Chanina, my time of Rav Meir. How does Rav Meir know this? So once again, back to that whole section of Rosh Chodesh. It says Seir Vis-Seir. So it says Seir by Rosh Chodesh. And then when it talks about the other sacrifices that are brought for the rest of the holidays, it says Vis-Seir and another he-goat, and meaning connecting the 2 sections. Hukshu Kol HaSeirim Zelazeh. They're all connected to each other. They're all learned out from each other. Vav Mosif Al Inyan Rishon. This Vav is adding. So meaning Rosh Chodesh atones for that, and will atone for this, and will atone for that, and then they're all learned out of each other. Now, how exactly this works is going to cause a little bit of a problem. Why? Right now, the Gemara is going to make an assumption. Because Salcha Daitach, that you think right now, it's Kol Chad V'Chad Mechavrei Gamar. So, I have a chumash in front of me, but in that section where it talks about the Rosh Chodesh offering, so I think the order I'm assuming is after Rosh Chodesh, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, right? and then it's going to be Yom Kippur. Okay, so now you would learn like this. You would learn Rosh Chodesh to Pesach, and then you're going to learn out from Pesach to Shavuos, and then Shavuos to Sukkot, and then from Sukkot to Yom Kippur, and that's how it's going to go. So yeah, so Rashi, yeah. Yeah, here Rashi. I'm looking right. I guess that's just the order of Psukim. Yeah. No, here, I got it. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, a little teeny chart. Yeah, Rashi explains. So, Pesach is next to Rosh Chodesh in the Chumash. So, therefore, it's learned out of Rosh Chodesh. To tell you that even the Pesach offering, the goat, will atone for somebody who is pure, who eats the holy bagel that is impure. And then Sukkot, which is next to Yom Kippur. So, it'll learn out from Yom Kippur, where you have no knowledge in the beginning, but you have knowledge at the end. So the Sukkot offering will be learned out of Yom Kippur. And then Yom Kippur will learn out from Sukkot, where you have no knowledge and no knowledge at the end. The outer goat of Yom Kippur will also atone for that. And then, since they're all next to each other in the Chumash, they're all juxtaposed, you're going to learn them all out from each other. So Pesach from Rosh Chodesh, Yom Kippur from Sukkot, and then you'll learn out, I guess, what's left? Shavuos. You learn out Shavuos from Rosh Hashanah? Okay, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Hashanah. Okay, Rosh Hashanah from Shavuos. Fine. So, because we're going to ask Rosh Hashanah. Okay, hold that thought because we're going to ask about it. So now, what's the problem with this? If you're going to learn it like this, so the problem is that in the world of Hekish, of one of the ways we derive laws through juxtaposition. So when it comes to sacrifices, you can't do a double juxtaposition. It's it's halach and zvachim. When it comes to holy sacrifice, we have to see when we get there. But it says v'hamar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says kol Torah kula lemedim lamad milamad. In the rest of the Torah, not regarding sacrifices, you could learn lamad milamad. Lamad means like the student. The malamed is a teacher. Lamad is a student. So if something is learned out from something else, you could also learn out from the one that got learned out, right? The student can tutor the other students. If he learned from the teacher, now he can give over his knowledge. So too, one sacrifice learned from another sacrifice can still, one law learned out from another law can teach to another law. But chutz mikachim, except for when it comes to kachim, when it comes to sacrifices, she'ein lamedim lamad milamad. When there's a hekish by kachim, when there's a juxtaposition that teaches you something. So once the teacher taught the student, therefore you can't now juxtapose that which the student learned to another area. It's a special rule by sacrifices that it's not going to work like that. Therefore, we can't say that Rosh Chodesh to Pesach and then again to other things and Sukkot to Yom Kippur and then again and put them all together, that they're all going to atone for each other, because that would involve a double juxtaposition, and that we don't do when it comes to sacrifices. So now, so the Gemara says, okay, halo kasha, that's not such a problem. Why? Kulu mikama gmiri. No, really, we're all learning it out from Rosh Chodesh. So really, Rosh Chodesh teaches you one thing, that the pure person who eats the sacrifice eats the holy bagel when it's in a state of impurity. So the goat on Rosh Chodesh atones for that. So that's one, and so Rosh Chodesh learns out from them when you have from the holidays when you have no knowledge at all. So that's one. Now all the holidays will be learned out of Yom Kippur when you have no knowledge in the beginning and you have knowledge at the end. And so too, Yom Kippur will learn from them when you have no knowledge at all. So they're not teaching to each other. It's just that Rosh Chodesh will learn something from the three holidays, and Yom Kippur will learn something. They'll learn from each other, and they'll learn from each other, and that's that. And therefore, Rosh Chodesh will teach you when you have no knowledge. There's going to be a problem over here. It's going to be a problem. Rosh Chodesh teaches you once again. Rosh Chodesh teaches you that there's a pure person who eats something impure. The sacrifice atones for that. The 3 holidays teach you no knowledge in the beginning, no knowledge at the end. Fine. So Rosh Chodesh now, the Higot of Rosh Chodesh will atone for things that have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. And the 3 holidays will atone for somebody who ate something in a state of impurity, when he was pure and ate something which was impure, he impurified himself. Fine. So that's one. And now Yom Kippur, that teaches you that you I guess all the holidays we'll learn out from Yom Kippur, where you have no knowledge in the beginning, but you have knowledge at the end. So now all the 3 holidays now know from Rosh Chodesh, and they learn from Yom Kippur something. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay, fine. So each one's going to learn from somebody else. Yeah, fine. So therefore, it's not a double juxtaposition. It's just Rosh Chodesh to the holidays and back to Rosh Chodesh. That's 1. Yom Kippur to the holidays and back to Yom Kippur. That's going to be 2. How do you know, though, that Yom Kippur will atone for somebody who... The Yom Kippur offering, how do you know that atones for Rosh Chodesh? Yom Kippur is learned out of the holidays. Rosh Chodesh is learned out by the holidays. The how do you know Yom Kippur and Rosh Chodesh are connected? Don't know. Don't know. I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. Yeah, Rosh Chodesh, Yom Kippur from Rosh Chodesh seems to be a difficulty over here. Okay, I think. So let's see. So, Halo Kasha, Kulu Mikama Gmiri. Okay, so now, well, Tenach called the Kasav Bey V'Seir. That's all good by the parts of the Torah there that it says the word Seir, V'Seir, and the Higot. However, Atzeres, the Yom Kippurim, Shavuos, and Yom Kippur, the lo Kasav Bey V'Seir Minolan. By there, it doesn't say V'Seir. Oh, so this is good. Okay, now we're going to learn out Yom Kippur. How do you know that Yom Kippur? It doesn't say Seir, V'Seir by Yom Kippur. It doesn't say that by Yom Kippur. So how do you know that Yom Kippur will atone for that which Rosh Chodesh atones for? Minolan. So now we got stuck. So Ella, Amar Rabbi Yonah, Amar Kra, Eile Tasu Lashem B'Moadechem. So these you should do for Hashem in your holidays, in your festivals. Hukshu Kol Hamoadim Zelazeh. We are now comparing all the holidays to each other. He learns out that all the holidays are compared to each other to teach you that whatever sacrifices work for one, they're going to work for all of them. It's not a double juxtaposition. It's just all the holidays will share the same korbanos. So as learned out by this new teaching. So at the end of the day, it sounds like from Rabbeinu Yonah we learn Eile Taz Hashem b'Moadechem. Moadechem includes all the holidays. So therefore, all the holidays are compared to each other, and therefore the laws are learned from there. All that the whatever atones for one, each holiday and Rosh Chodesh and not Rosh Chodesh and Yom Kippur and Shavuos will all have the same halachas as Pesach and Sukkot. So Pesach and Sukkot. Pesach is learned out from Pesach is learned out from Rosh Chodesh, and Sukkot we said was learned out of Yom Kippur. But now we're saying that all the holidays are compared to each other. And it seems to not be a problem of a double juxtaposition. Why not? Okay, I don't know. There's a footnote about it. No, what the problem means is that we're going back. We're erasing what we said, and we're saying that no, all the holidays are all going to atone for each other. Yeah, that's all it means. Whatever applies to one thing that's called a moed, a festival, will apply to all of them, according to the opinion of Rav Meir. Now, yeah, I don't know if you have a 2 dots, it should be taken out. It doesn't make sense. So because that's why I got stuck, because we're at a stopping point. We're at a stopping point. All things that are called festivities are learned out from each other. What's the problem? Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is not called a festivity, but Rosh Chodesh lav moedu. That's not a festivity. So you're telling me that all the festivities are learned out from each other. And Rav Meir said the Rosh Chodesh offering, the 3 holiday offerings, they all atone for each other. But Rosh Chodesh is not called a moed. Says the Gemara, it's called a moed. Ibra Rosh Chodesh nami ikri moed. No, Rosh Chodesh is also called a moed. Where do I see that it's called a moed? The Amar Abaye. So now we're going a little bit to Eicha. It says there that by the when the Jews were in the desert, we know that their decree, because of their lashon hara about Eretz Yisrael, so they cried on Tisha B'av. Now that year, Damar Abai Tammuz Dahi Shasa, so Miluyi Milyuhu, they made Tammuz that year a 30-day month instead of a 29-day month. They made it a 30-day month instead of a 29-day month. Yeah, and since they made it a 30-day month, therefore the spies came back on Tisha B'av. The Amar Abai Tammuz Tammuz at that time was Miluyi Milyuhu. It was ended up being a 30-day month. They filled it up, so to speak. They made it right. Every month could be either 29 30 days. Right nowadays, when you have a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, so that means that day 30 and day 1. So that's how it was that year in Tammuz. Dichsev Kara Alai Moed Lishbar Bachurai. So literally it means that from Eicha, they called it a holiday, literally to breaking my young ones. I think referring to the base of Mikdash. But Karalai Moed. So it says they called it a holiday. If that's referring to when they made that month a full month, and the next day Rosh Chodesh, and that in Eicha is referred to as a Moed. So you see from Eicha that Rosh Chodesh is referred to as a Moed. So since we found that Rosh Chodesh is called a Moed, so therefore this one juxtaposition that puts all the Moeds together will include not only the 3 holidays, not only Yom Kippur, but it'll also include Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is also called a Moed. Yeah. Okay, we have a few minutes. Okay, so now Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, Umodir Rav Meir. Rav Meir agrees, though, that everything he said by all the sacrifices atoning for each other, that's only true by the sacrifice that's brought on the outer altar on Yom Kippur. That's the one that's compared to the rest of the holidays. But the one that's brought on the inner altar, so that it's in its own category. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Umodir Meir, he agrees on the goat that's brought on the inner altar on Yom Kippur. Shehu Eino Mechaper Kaparasan. It does not mechaper for anything else. Vehain, and they do not mechaper for it. Vehain Eino Mechaper Kaparaso. So now, how do I know that? Who Eino Mechaper Kaparasan Kapara Achas Mechaper? Ve'eino Mechaper Shtei Kaparos. It says there that it only atones for one thing and one thing only, not 2 things. So therefore, it only atones for what it atones for. And Hain, how do you know that the rest of the holidays and Rosh Chodesh does not atone for that which the inner Higot on Yom Kippur atones for? Hain Einan Mechaprin Kaparoso. Amar Kra says the verse, Achas B'Shana, Kapara Zu Lo Tehei Ela Achas B'Shana. This kapara is only going to happen once a year, and not anything more than that. Obviously, that wouldn't be once a year. So therefore, the inner goat on Yom Kippur is going to be unique, and it will only atone for itself and nothing else will atone for it. Okay. Now we're going to have a brisa to support this. When you have no knowledge in the beginning and no knowledge at the end. And you have knowledge, you have no knowledge in the beginning, and you have knowledge at the end. The al tahor, and someone who is tahor, he is pure, but he had the impure holy bagel. So what's going to happen? Se'iri haragolim, the goats of the festivals, this Rosh Chodeshim, and the goats of the new months of the Rosh Chodeshim. This se'ir hanase b'chutz, and only the he goat that's brought on the outside are mechaprin. Divrei Rav Meir. That is the opinion of Rav Meir. However, ve'ilu se'ir hanase b'fnim, shayari was left out. V'kaparasa nami shayari. It itself was left out. It's left over, so to speak, and its atonement is also left over, meaning that it's going to be in its own category, supporting what we just said, that the se'ir hanase b'fnim will not atone for anybody else, and anybody else will not atone for that which it atones for. That should we start? One second. Okay, we'll start. So, according to the next opinion in the Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon says that the seir of Rosh Chodesh is only mechaper for its thing, but it's not mechaper for it's only mechaper for, it only atones for a pure person who eats something which is impure. However, through the three holidays atones for somebody who's ein bayadiyah, who has no knowledge of eating and not at the end. And Yom Kippur is only mechaper when you have no knowledge in the beginning and yes, knowledge at the end. But they do not atone for each other. Not like Rav Meir. Rabbi Shimon argues each one atones for its thing. Okay, so we'll just start. Rosh Chodesh does not atone for any of the three holidays. Why? The Amar Kra, Avon, it says Avon, it's singular. Avon Echad, who knows, Seven knows, Shtei Avonos. The Rosh Chodesh offering only atones for one thing, not for two things. Ela de Regalim, but let at least the Higot of the three holidays atone for that which the Rosh Chodesh offering atones for. Nechapro Adi Rosh Chadashim, Amar Kra, no. Osa no se Avon, of Ein Acher no se Avon. By Rosh Chodesh, it says it carries its sin, and nothing else will carry its sin, therefore excluding anybody else to atone for that which it atones for. Okay. Now, Bishma de Regalim lo mechaper ad Yom Kippurim. The three holidays won't atone for Yom Kippur. The Amar Kra achas b'shana. Kapara zu lo tehei ela achas b'shana. The Yom Kippur atonement's only once a year, and therefore the three holidays can't atone for it. Ela de Yom Kippurim nechapra de Regalim. At least let the Yom Kippurim offering, the one that's brought on the external on the outer altar, let that atone for the three holidays. Amar Kra, no. Achas kapara achas mechaper ve'eno mechaper shtei kaparos. It can only atone for one thing, and it cannot atone for two atonements, and therefore it's only going to atone for that which it atones for, and nothing else. Okay, we'll stop here.